All right. We're gonna get started. So I'm Jennifer, the dietitian, and I'm gonna go through your heart healthy education today with you, okay? Hello there, to all of you who will be part of the evening class, but basically today we're gonna be talking about heart healthy eating, okay? So basically the handout that I have, you guys all have one, and at the very top part, it kind of talks about balanced eating, okay? It gives you some tips in terms of how to eat healthfully. So basically, you know, heart healthy eating is obviously watching fat, sodium, cholesterol, and then, you know, a lot of times it will have you limiting your caffeine. But really, it basically is just a version of healthy eating, okay? So at home, you know, we try to implement healthy eating in our home, and I feel like a lot of that is basically heart healthy eating. We're watching our fat intake, we're selecting that lean protein, we're eating more fruits and veggies and stuff like that, okay? So basically, that top part kind of just talks to, again, some healthy tips about how to balance out those meals. And then just things to kind of watch. It's kind of like a little bit of a summary. And then as you get down to the bottom of the handout, it's going to talk to you about really delving into heart healthy eating. And so what we're watching, and so basically one of the things that we watch is saturated fat. And the reason that we watch saturated fat is because it increases our bad cholesterol, or our LDL. And so it's recommended that you keep your saturated fat intake to around 5 to 6% of your total calories for the day. And so how do you do that? Well, if you notice, there's a little bit of a chart here down at the bottom. And it kind of talks to you about those foods that are high in saturated fat. Okay, so it's going to be like your fattier cuts of beef and pork, poultry with the skin, butter. You know, you commonly think of butter. It's going to be things like coconut oil, which is a tropical oil, and then full fat dairy. So basically, you're really going to want to watch those types of products. If you look to the right-hand side, it's really telling you what to substitute for those products with, okay? So we're going to do more like, you know, mono and polyunsaturated fat. So like a canola oil, an olive oil, poultry again, but removing that skin, leaner proteins such as turkey, fish, chicken, and then in terms of beef and pork, which is considered red meat, you're gonna opt for like the loin, the leg, the round, okay? Those leaner cuts, and you're gonna keep it to about 4 ounces. So that's a more portion control size. So basically that's kind of what this is telling you. And then I didn't mention the dairy, but also dairy, they're recommending like a 1% of skim milk, reduced fat cheeses, okay? So if you flip over, we're gonna continue on learning about fat. So we're gonna talk about trans fat. So trans fat is a little bit worse than saturated fat in the fact that it basically increases our bad cholesterol, our LDL, but it also lowers our good cholesterol, our HDL. So we want the opposite. So basically, when it comes to trans fats, we just want to be aware of what are those products. Well, it's a partially hydrogenated oil. It's found in you know, more of your processed food items like microwavable popcorn, baked goods, frozen dinners, things along those lines. So you really want to look at that nutrition facts label, okay, and make sure that there's no trans fats in those items. So basically use that tool to help guide you in your food choices. So basically trans fats, yeah, you definitely want to look at the nutrition facts label and really limit those as much as you can. So again, what do we eat? Well, we want to have those poly and those monounsaturated fats. So basically those are going to be in the right-hand column of this chart. It basically talks about what those products are. And again, I kind of mentioned them when we were going over the saturated fat, what to choose, and what we're wanting to choose is olive, canola, safflower, okay? Avocado is a heart-healthy fat, peanut butter and nuts are heart-healthy fats, seafood, heart-healthy fat. So basically it's just kind of going over what really to select to get in those heart-healthy fats. So basically, underneath that is talking about cholesterol. That's one of the things that I had mentioned at the very beginning of our session. And so cholesterol, some people are sensitive to dietary cholesterol. And as a result, we recommend that people limit it to 200 milligrams per day. High cholesterol foods are going to be things like egg yolks. It's going to be things like your organ meats, okay? So liver, kidneys, heart, things like that you're going to want to limit. When it comes to eggs are healthy. They have, healthy components nutrition-wise to them. However, the yolk has a lot of cholesterol. So in saying that, we want you to just kind of watch how many eggs you're consuming and keep it to about 4 eggs per week. So if you want to do anything more than that, egg whites, I think would be a perfect way to be able to enjoy more than 4 eggs per week, but you're watching the cholesterol as well. So basically, we're gonna kind of move over to kind of heart healthy carbohydrates. And so what they're gonna be recommending is gonna be fiber. We recommend fiber-rich foods. So that's gonna be items like whole wheat bread, so your whole grains, brown rice, whole wheat pasta, fruits and vegetables and nuts. They provide a lot of fiber to them. And so we recommend around 10 to 20 grams of fiber per day. And so if you do not eat a fiber-rich diet, we basically recommend that you slowly add in fiber-rich foods. You never want to go and do too much too fast. It can cause some gastrointestinal issues. So why is fiber important? Fiber is important because it's soluble fiber, for instance, lowers cholesterol. It's good for gastrointestinal health, so keeps you regular. So we always recommend if people are having any issues with constipation.
I see advertised probiotic.
Yes, yeah.
What is that? It says something about the gut. I don't know what that means.
Just helping with that good bacteria, basically. So probiotics do obviously help too if people are having issues with like being constipated.
Yeah.
A lot of times a probiotic will be prescribed or on the other side, like diarrhea also.
So it's good for you then.
Yeah, so probiotics are found in your yogurts and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I wouldn't necessarily think you have to like go and get a supplement. I would just say, if you want to eat some probiotics, yogurt is a good way to do that. Mm-hmm. Yep. So back to fiber though, it helps in preventing constipation if you eat enough fiber per day. And so I always tell people just make sure when you are eating a fiber-rich diet that you're drinking enough fluid with it. Okay. And also it helps keep you full. That's another benefit to fiber. So it kind of goes over basically how to increase it. I said earlier goal is 10 to 20. It can also be, I've read 25 to 35 grams per day. But basically what I want people to know is you add fiber-rich foods in slowly, okay? Never go too much, too quickly. So basically refined carbohydrates are what's talked about next, and basically those are gonna be just more processed carbohydrates. So basically, in the center of your supermarket, you'll find boxed items, and they can be more processed, meaning there can be more added sugar, salt, and fats in the processing of those items. And so we always recommend that, if you're picking up those items, to be really familiar about what you're picking up, okay? What's in those products? Especially sodium. Sodium is one of the ones that tend to add up really quickly. We're gonna kind of get into that next because sodium, it's recommended in terms of heart healthy eating that you eat about 2,000 milligrams of sodium per day. There is 2,300 milligrams in 1 teaspoon of salt. So basically it adds up really quickly. So there is some tips and stuff like that in this handout that kind of talk about ways to minimize the amount of sodium that you're eating. And one of them is gonna be watching those processed foods. So just like I said with the refined carbohydrates, they're just more processed. So you wanna just be, again, familiar with the label and how much sodium is in those, in that product. So another way to obviously watch your sodium is to cook from home. Instead of going out to eat, you really want to try to cook, from home. You can control things at home, what's in those products, whereas if you go out to eat, you're at the mercy of whatever restaurant you're eating at. And sometimes you can ask the wait staff if, you know, they cannot add salt at the end, but it's just more difficult. It's easier if you're at home and you're part of that preparation. You know, you can not add the salt in, you can watch what kind of chicken broth you're using whenever you're maybe making your soup. And so you can really kind of minimize the amount of sodium that's going into that recipe. So cooking from home, being a smart shopper is the next tip, but basically I kind of reviewed that already, and that's just using this tool, okay? And Jim and I were talking earlier, but basically the front of the packages at the supermarket, I mean, they're trying to get you to buy that item. So, you know, they're gonna put a lot of claims on there and stuff like that. You really just wanna flip it around and look at the label. And down at the bottom is where you'll see your ingredients, okay? So earlier I was talking about processed food items, and I said, oh, it's typically they're in the center of the supermarket. That's true, but I've also, you know, I can find just brown rice. It has one ingredient in it, brown rice, and it's in the center of the supermarket, and it's a box item, but it's not processed. So basically, you just kind of look, you look at that label, and it's, again, your guide. So what do you do for flavor? We don't want to take away flavor. And I think that salt's obviously that enhancer. So I tell people herbs and spices. We do tons of garlic powder and onion powder, not garlic salt, garlic powder at our house, and it provides that flavor. But there's all kinds of different herbs and spices that you can use, you know, depending on what you're making. So really kind of just tapping into that to provide that flavor. Also, in terms of like marinades, using like a citrus to kind of break down your protein versus, you know, they'll have the marinades that are, you know, prepackaged, ready to go. I wouldn't recommend selecting those. You can kind of do your own at home. So we do like oranges or lemons or something like that. And then, you know, sometimes my, you know, husband does, you know, vinegars and spices and things like that, olive oil to marinate our meats. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can do it. But condiments just tend to be high in sodium. So you just kind of want, if you can do it at home, again, you know, it's recommended that you make that marinade, that recipe, you got that meal at home, okay? And then also some other high sodium foods, canned products. We say if you could try to aim for fresh and frozen, those are best. They tend to be obviously lower in sodium. So when I say frozen, I mean without gravies or sauces. So if you buy, you know, you want peas instead of the canned peas, you know, you could do a frozen pea, and it's no gravy or sauce with it. It's just the frozen peas. Canned product, I have found green beans with hardly any salt in them, but they're hard. It's harder, I feel like, to find. So you just gotta really look at that label. So I feel like it's just better to select fresh and frozen. Okay. So basically, healthy eating is a component of healthy lifestyle. So you guys are doing a couple different things here at Cardiac Rehab. You're doing physical activity. Okay, that's another component of a healthy lifestyle. You're coming here to see me, but also basically stress management. You know, making sure that stress is under, you know, you're kind of keeping that kind of in the forefront. It is important. It's impactful to health. So, you know, making sure you're addressing stress if you're having any. Adequate sleep, making sure you're drinking enough fluid, alcohol only in moderation, socializing, all important aspects of a healthy lifestyle. So, and then basically this is the back sheet, one of the back sheets, and it kind of just talks about foods to limit, and then foods that are more recommended. And if you notice, it doesn't say that you can't have these items. It just says that you need to limit them, okay? And so if you're unsure as to why something's on the foods to limit list, then just go back through that handout and it'll tell you, okay? So you'll notice like foods with fiber in them, and you know, not a lot of processed food items, leaner proteins and stuff like that will be in that recommended list. And then it kind of goes over every category, you know, it goes fruits, vegetables, it goes into your whole grains, it goes into your dairy, fats and oils. And then at the very last page, it talks about just a sample meal plan. So kind of what I said earlier at the very beginning, those well-balanced meals to help meet nutrition needs. That's kind of what this sample meal plan is also meeting. Not only nutrition needs, but also heart healthy guidelines. Okay. So basically, that's kind of like the ins and outs. There's a lot to that. And then here's the label. So we kind of talked about this quite a bit. Does anybody have any questions about the nutrition facts label or heart healthy eating guidelines?
Are like, I think it's called Mrs. Dash, that seasoning, that's salt free most of the time.
Yes, that's an excellent point. So there are salt substitutes, and basically that's going to be things like Mrs. Dash. There's other products out there. Some of them do have a little bit of sodium, so you have to just kind of be careful. And the salt substitutes, potassium is replacing that salt. So just kind of an FYI on that, but basically those are also another great way to provide that flavor without salt. Yes.
Mrs. Dash?
Mrs. Dash, yes, yep. And they have a variety of flavors. You know, you can do ones with garlic and just different herbs and stuff like that.
Like onion powder or onion salt. You said earlier, is it all right?
You want to do just the onion powder.
Onion powder, garlic powder?
Just the garlic powder, yes. So sometimes if you pick them up, just be careful what you're picking up, because you think that it's salt free, and then, you know, it may not, just like I said, kind of be careful. I know that there are salts where it's not as strong, and so like a new salt, I want to say falls into that category. It's still providing some sodium. And I get a lot of questions too about what's the difference between like a sea salt versus an iodized salt versus a Himalayan salt. They're all salt. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. So basically, you just have to make sure that you're being mindful how much you're using of them. So, yeah.
Just one real quick question back to cholesterol. We hear bad cholesterol and good cholesterol is like eggs. I mean, can we get good cholesterol in food?
So basically, your cholesterol doesn't come from like animal product. But I said earlier that there's a lot of nutrition with eggs, so it is good. So basically, you can, again, the 4 eggs per week, you know, kind of adhering to that, and then doing the egg whites if you do want to do more than that. But yeah, I feel like eggs are nutritious. And really, the other ones are just going to be kind of like those organ meats and stuff like that. Shrimp is another one that is high in cholesterol, but basically have very, very low saturated fat. So it is one of the ones that, you know, we do recommend that people consume. But yes, it is higher in cholesterol as well. So some are better than others, but you just kind of want to watch it. Like 200 milligrams per day.
Okay.
Yeah.
200 milligrams.
I don't have high blood pressure. I have, you know, clogged arteries and all like that, so salt's okay for me, right?
So I would definitely still recommend. Do you have any issues with fluid retention?
With what?
Fluid retention,
No.
swelling. So just dietary guidelines for Americans recommends that we eat no more than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day. That's for everybody across the board.
Okay.
So technically, I do recommend anybody who wants to eat a little bit healthier, they watch that sodium. Yeah.
I just thought that it was for higher blood
And
pressure.
yes, and I mean, you're right in that. However, we do recommend, you know, getting too much salt isn't a good thing. So basically, we do recommend that you keep it around 2,300 milligrams.
Yeah, actually, salt is probably one of the healthier things I eat.
So it's just a nutrient that we tend to get more of than what we do need. So
Yeah.
I think it's good to watch it. Absolutely.
On chicken, I like the skin. So we don't fry it anymore, we bake it. Is that better for you then?
It is better.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, when it comes to frying, a lot of that is absorbed into that food. So we recommend. There probably still is obviously more fat with that when you eat the skin.
Well, I was surprised to learn that the green beans and peas and carrots I buy at the store in a can, it's got a lot of sodium in it.
It can, yeah, look at that label, yeah.
Is that to keep it preserved?
It's a preservative, it's a flavor enhancer, yeah.
All right. So eat fresh.
Yeah, yeah.
Or frozen.
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 Absolutely.
Frozen?
Frozen
Fresh or
vegetables.
frozen, yep,
Oh,
so
I
you can
didn't
do
know
frozen
frozen.
too,
There's not a lot of salt in frozen then.
If you just do like a, you know, you talked about the carrots and the
Yeah.
peas and peas and stuff like that, you can buy that in frozen
Okay.
without a gravy or a sauce, and that'd be a perfect option for you,
Alright.
yep. Yep. So we do frozen all the time at our house, and we really like them.
I didn't catch the shrimp. You said it's good for you, but not a lot of it?
Yeah, so it's high in cholesterol.
Okay.
So just really low in saturated fat. So
Yeah.
basically, we recommend just to kind of watch how much you're consuming of it.
Okay.
So yeah, just like similar to eggs. Good for you, but because of the cholesterol, we recommend just 4 regular eggs per week.
I'm cooking in an air fryer.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, because I'm using that a lot.
I've heard so many good things about an air fryer. You don't have to use oil, and that the end product is typically very good.
I love it.
So yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that. That's great. Any other questions?
I like popcorn, but if I don't put salt or butter on it, it's good for you?
So yeah, and I always tell people, so popcorn's a whole grain,
Uh-huh.
but just go really easy on yes.
Even without salt and butter?
Oh, yeah, I'm talking about with salt and butter. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, salt and butter I don't put on.
Oh, you don't put on, I'm
No.
sorry, I misunderstood. Yeah, no, that's a great snack, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
This tastes lousy, but not tasting good. Not thinking that.
As long as you don't
Onion
go
salt.
crazy. Yeah, we do
Not
garlic
onion-
on ours.
Onion powder.
We do garlic powder on ours,
Yeah,
yeah.
I gotta remember, I wrote it down, onion powder and garlic powder.
Yep, that's right.
It enhances the taste of the food.
Yes, it
Okay.
does. Yes. Yep.
Now,
You can't put too much garlic on something.
no, garlic's good for that.
No, it doesn't overpower, it only gets to a certain degree.
Oh.
And we tried that one time, I heard it, we were making some garlic bread, we just loaded it up, I mean, really bad. You cannot put too much garlic on a food.
Did you mince it before you did?
Oh, we had minced and powdered. I mean, we put it
Okay.
on there really, really thick, just to try it out, and it was like, no, it's still the same, you cannot put too much garlic on a food.
I've heard the same thing. Of course, my wife's Italian, so that makes it.
I'm sure.
Any other questions?
I have one,
Yeah.
and I've lost a lot of weight. And I thought I had gotten cancer back. So I went and had a dye put in me and a full body. They said, no, you're free of cancer still, good. It's your heart. And I had a valve replaced, but I can't gain weight. And I've eaten all the wrong foods there is. I eat a lot of ice cream, steak burgers, and French fries. And I'm worried about my cholesterol, and the doctor said, I can give you a pill to take care of that, but I can't do about your weight.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to do. That's my thing.
I can talk to you after class, and we can talk about some strategies to help.
Well, they said it was the heart, so I don't know. I know the heart carries nourishment to your body, but
Yeah, we can
I
talk
don't
about like
understand
just
why I
different
can't gain
tips and
weight.
stuff.
I mean, I'm lucky if I hit 100 pounds now.
Sure.
But I was always small,
Yeah.
sharp, small. At my weight, 130 some pounds when I was in the Navy was, you see, and I've had people tell me, as you get older,
Mhm.
you reach a level, that's where you're gonna be, and I forgot what they call it.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's stop. You're not gonna get heavier, you're not gonna get thinner, you're gonna hang right there. Is that true?
And I've seen people lose weight and gain weight as they get older,
Yeah,
so.
okay.
Not necessarily
I
about
just
it.
wonder,
Yeah.
cause I worry about it.
Yeah, we can talk about different tips and things like that. You know, to work on.
Everything you say not to eat, I love.
You know, though, if you're trying to gain weight, though, you can be a little bit more liberalized, because
Oh,
it's
okay.
important to obviously Not, you know, I would never recommend someone to lose weight, especially if you're on the underweight,
Yeah,
or on that underweight spectrum. So basically,
I just wondered, I forgot what he called it, you reach a level. I forgot what the doctor said,
yeah,
and I said, that doesn't sound right, but, okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, well, we'll talk after class too. Just have questions, let me know, so. Thank you for coming.
And to her.